Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. And tonight is our legend segment. And tonight, guys, this is Black History Month. And we got somebody on tonight who's a true legend, and he is a historian. We got on, at one time, the world's fastest man, all the way from Bolton, Mississippi, Mr. Calvin Smith. Calvin, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Glad to be part of the show.
Man, thank you, man. It's so good to see you here. And, of course, over the years, I've followed you and kept up a little bit with you, what's going on in your life. But, man, I remember back in the day when we competed against each other. We'll talk about that. But, man, you're from the 601, Bolton, Mississippi. Bolton, Mississippi.
Yes, I am. A small little town in Bolton, about 10, 15 miles from Jackson area.
From Jack, okay, right. Okay, cool, man. So now, after high school, you decide to go to the University of Alabama. How did you get out of Mississippi? Matter of fact, let me say this. How did you avoid Florida State? First of all, I want to know
that. Well, one, Florida State never contacted me, and I didn't know that much about Florida State at the time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. My main thing that I was looking at was UCLA. It was bypassed all the schools around the area.
Right.
But at the last moment and everything, I decided that I didn't want to go there because of the distance and all that. Yeah. Too far away.
Too far.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that UCLA program was loaded back in the day. You had Foster out there. I mean, you had some guys out there, in Beverly Hills, I would say, right? So Kevin, so all right, so I guess you had to be, with your kind of ability, because you had to be born with that kind of ability to run that fast. So you started to try to run track in the 8th grade, and so what happened with you? And because you quit the track team, what happened with you in the 8th grade? Tell me about it.
Well, in the 8th grade, I didn't know that much about track, and I hadn't really done any sports, team type of sports. It's just basically been, in PE class and stuff like that, through elementary up to that point. And so after I went out there and had a workout, and I was really sore and everything, and I went again, and I said, no, this is too much. I don't need to do all this to be sore and all of that. And I just didn't realize, it was going to take some time. I wanted things to be good right away and no major problem.
Well, see that. All right. So I like what you just said, because see, a lot of kids listen to this show, right? And because this is a legend segment, and we talk about the beginning, because most of us, our beginnings was not that good, right? But we kept at it, and next thing you know, working through it, we eventually get there. So you quit your first year because you thought it was too much. But I know you had to be the fastest guy in town, right?
Pretty much was the fastest one around. Yes.
So all right, so you quit in your 8th grade year, but you come back as a freshman, and you win state in the 100-yard dash as a 9th grader.
Yes.
That's crazy, man.
Well, I went in knowing more as far as what to expect, because a lot of the guys, after I quit, they got on my case, and then I just still didn't go back. But then by the next year, they had talked to me and told me so much that, I really wanted to go back. And they got me to get on back out there.
Right. So, man, so eventually, as you matured and got a little older, got a little stronger, you got faster, and you ended up breaking the state record in the 100-yard dash. And I think that record was held for about 33, 35 years before somebody broke it.
Yes. By that time, they had gone, I'm sure, to meters. Have gone to meters at that time. Absolutely. But yeah, I was able to do quite a little bit during my high school days in Mississippi. Because I had set goals for myself that it was going to be my ticket out of the state of Mississippi, and that was one of the key. I had goals that Mississippi was not the place I wanted to live.
Right. See, it's amazing. When I hear guys like you, our age, most of us, we had dreams.
Yeah.
Most of us had goals, right? We saw something that we didn't like and we wanted better, and we went for it. Yeah. And the odds was never in our favor, but we did go to work. we did go to work, right? So when I hear you say that the first year you went out, how the workload was too much at that time, but then always believe when you got your mind right, you got your thoughts right, okay, I can overcome that. And when you have your peers are always going to edge you along. They're going to talk about you, right? And so that'll help you go back out. Because Calvin, I did the same thing. I quit the first year I played football. I went out and I sat the bench. I didn't like that. So after the first game, I turned my uniform in. I was 9 years old. I come back the next year and all of a sudden I was a monster the very next year. And so it's not how you start, right? It's how you progressively move forward on your journey. And it's not the destination, it's the journey, And then along the way, you meet other guys who are kind of like-minded, and iron sharpens iron, and next thing you know, you find yourself on your way, right?
Right, that's correct.
So let's talk about you, man. So you go to Alabama, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. At Alabama, you're an 8-time All-American. And now, the first time I saw you, Calvin, I think I saw you, if I'm not mistaken, the first meet I ever ran in at Florida State. See, I didn't go to school on a track scholarship. I went to school on a football scholarship, and I long jump in an intramural track meet, and the track coach was there, and he saw me jump, and he said, man, I need you on the track team. I said, I would love to. I said, talk with Coach Bowden. I said, but I ain't running. First thing I said, I cut him. I said, I'm not running. Now, I was the fastest guy on the football team in the 40, right?
Yeah.
And so, but we had guys like Mike Roberson, we had Walter McCoy, we had Ron Nelson. So Florida State, we were loaded. And so I was intimidated by those guys because I ran against them in the high school state track meet, and they were far way ahead of me, right? So I was intimidated. But the first meet I ran in, I was at a meet. It was a meet, more so SEC schools were there at LSU. Okay. And at that meet, I was long jumping, but then they were running the 60. And so I'm sitting there thinking, shoot, man, it ain't no but a 60. They can't beat me that bad, right? I asked my coach, can I enter that race? And I finished a distant fourth. But that was enough to encourage me, and that got me running, and the rest is history. But I saw you at that meet. But then where I really saw you, Calvin, was in the NCAA's outdoors and the 100-meter final. I would show that tape, but it's so dark and it's all junked up. Mm-hmm. In that race, you had yourself, the great Calvin Smith. We had James Sanford. We had Mike Roberson. We had Stanley Floyd. We had the Sanford, James Sanford from USC. You had what's the guy name from Tennessee? Great sprinter. Anyway, it was a loaded field. You had Darren Nelson from Stanford in that heat, and you were out there. That was a loaded 100-meter final. And I think Stanley Floyd, as a true freshman, ended up winning that thing, right? That's the first time I really saw you like that, in that capacity. And you were a freshman that year, right? Or sophomore? That was 79.
It could have been 79 freshman.
You were a freshman, right?
Yeah, he was a freshman as well.
Yeah, both of you guys were freshmen, right? Right. So that's the first time I really said, oh man, this dude is the real deal, right? So when we think about you're an 8-time All-American, if I ask you in college, did you have a favorite sprint? Was it the 100? Was it the 200? Or did you love them both?
It was the 100 because it was shorter. I deep down, I love them both. But if you ask me which one I would prefer to run, it's going to be the 100 because it was shorter.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because you were a really good 200-meter man, and so so when did you get to the point where your training took you where you want with that 200? Because you were an excellent 200-meter man.
Well, I train a lot different than a lot of other sprinters, and most of the time, with my training to get to the point was like probably May, when other people was running fast times in April and early May. Mine was coming around the end of May into the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. So all right. So I'm just gonna sound off some things, man, about you. All right.
Okay.
This is what people need to know. If y'all don't know about this man, you're gonna know now. In 1980, at the Pan American Junior Championship, you finished second in 100 meters and second in 200 meters. Now, when we talk about the Pan American Junior Championship, we're talking about, is that high school, or is that right after high school?
The Pan American would be, it's just all of those. It can be college freshmen.
Okay.
Generally, it's based on age.
Okay.
Not,
all right.
On a certain age, you can go.
So
it's anyone from all around the world. Yeah.
And here's the thing that people now, when we're talking to him, y'all understand we're talking world. We're not talking about state. We're not talking about just in the United States. We're talking about international running. And so at a young age, you were competing around the world, in the sprint. And so you finished second in 100, 200. In 1981, Universiad in Romania, you got a silver in the 100 meters, and you won the gold in the 4x1 with some teammates. In 1983, 83 was a great year for you, right? 83 was a special year for Calvin, ladies and gentlemen. That year, Calvin broke the 100-meter record, and he was named the fastest man in the world in 1983. And you ran a time, what was it, 9.93? What was that time?
Yes, 9.93.
93. Wow.
93.
Was that below? Yes. Was that below or above sea level?
That was above. That was in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Wow.
At the National Sports Festival meet that year.
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. And then on top of that year, you were first in the 200 meters. In Helsinki, you finished second in the 100 meters. You won a silver in Helsinki, the World Championships, and you won a gold in the 4x1 relay. You were first in the 200 meters. You won a gold there, right? And of course, in 1984, the Great Olympics in Los Angeles, California, in America. 1984, you won a gold medal in the 4x1.
Yes.
Right. And who was in that race with you? You, Carl Lewis. Who was all on that team 4x1?
That was Sam Grady and Ron Brown.
Okay, Ron Brown. That's right. Now, I know Ron real well now. I played against Ron in the NFL. He played for the Rams, right? So I had to guard Ron all the time. So I know his speed. So you got the goal, you got that goal. And the thing about that, y'all also broke the world's record in that race. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
37.83. Man, that's getting it, Doc. That's getting it right there, man. That's special. All right. And so in 1987, World Championship in Rome, Italy, first in 200 meters, you got a gold in 200 meters there. In 1988, you come back to the Olympics again in Seoul, Korea, probably the most controversial Olympics as far as the sprints are concerned, right? You got a bronze in that meet in the 100 meters, right?
Yes.
And in my opinion, you should have had the goal. That's my opinion. All right.
That's why when I wrote my book, title "It Should Have Been Gold," and it basically states,
it should have been gold. It should have been gold. A lot of people don't really know all the controversy behind that, right? 1992, you're still running. And here's the thing I like: you're still running in 1992, right? And so you got a bronze in 100 meters in the World Cup in Havana, Cuba. 4x1, y'all want a gold again. Man, you've done it all. And here's the other thing I like about you: the whole time of your career, you were always one of the top 4 or 5 sprinters. I mean, I see in 1982. This is the thing I love about you, man. This is the thing I love about you. In 1982, you were ranked 2nd in the United States in the 100 meters and 2nd in the world in the 100 meters. People will catch that onto this in a little bit. He was 2nd in the United States in the 100 meters and also 2nd in the whole world. All right. Also in the 200 meters, you were 2nd in the United States and you were 2nd in the world. In 1983, you were 2nd in the United States and you were 2nd in the world. Same sprints. In 1983, you were 1st in the USA and in the world in the 200 and the 100 meters. 1985, you're 2nd in the world and you're 2nd in the 200 meters. I mean, very consistent, very consistent. In 1986, you're 3rd in the world and you're 2nd in the 200 meters. In 1987, you're 2nd in the world in both the United States and the world. In 1988, you're 2nd in the US and you're in the world in the 100 meters. And so the consistency, man, you're right there. There's only one guy that had you in 2nd place, and we know him as Carl Lewis, one of the most decorated track and field guys in the United States of all time, right? And that whole time, Calvin, you were right there, 2nd, right behind him. Not only in America, but in the whole entire world. So here's the thing I love about you. You did it the right way. You did things the right way. All right. And so, you know, when we watch you, and see, here's the thing: when you play football, right? I look at physiques, right?
Yes.
You were natural. Okay. You can tell it just by watching you, right? And you can look at some guys. You can see one year a guy running a 10 200 meters in Los Angeles, and in Seoul, he running a 9.7. There's something wrong with that, people. It's not, Calvin, it's not possible.
Very.
I mean, even to this day, we got a 40-year-old sprint out there running 9.8. It's not possible at that age to be running 9.8. There's something going on. There's something going on, right? And so
very much so.
So how was it, Calvin, that you were that consistent over that period of time?
Well, basically, I had to put a lot of that out of my mind as far as in a certain sense of those that was on drugs.
Right.
But one of the things is that I love running, love competing. Mm-hmm. So the love of the sport wasn't going to make me just quit because so many people was on drugs and stuff of that nature. Plus, track gave me a good opportunity. It was my job, and it gave me the opportunity to travel around the world free, you know, on someone else's dime. So that was a major thing. But the thing is, it just made me had to enhance my training as far as doing a lot of over distance stuff to get my body much stronger.
Right.
Because I knew what I was dealing with. And as long as I knew that I was in the best shape that I could possibly be in and had the right frame of mind, you know, I felt that I could compete against anyone. Absolutely. I knew that, you know, the challenge was going to be much harder, but I was willing to, take that challenge.
So now you're a sprinter, world class, big time sprinter. And most sprinters are cocky. They're like cornerbacks in the National Football League. They talk a lot of smack, always in your face, always trying to show out. But you were not like that. You were very humble. You were very quiet. You had a very quiet demeanor, right, about you.
Yeah,
and
I would say
so what would you do when you compete against guys like that? You just laugh at them. What do you do? Right? Because I know they're talking smack. I know they're talking smack.
Well, yeah, there was plenty of them that was talking smack, but I'll just look at this. I use that as to feed me to want to beat them more, and to really get me ready to go. Like, okay, I'm going to show you. You can talk all you want, but I'm going to show you on the track who's going to do what. So it was a motivational thing to listen to them. They didn't know they was motivating me to beat them, to try to beat them, make sure I beat them. But that's what it was.
Absolutely, man. I tell you, man. It's amazing. When I was in high school, I'm from South Florida. I'm from a little place called Delray Beach down in Palm Beach County. I see you just moved to Tampa not long ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been here a long time.
You've been in Tampa for a while? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Well, anyway, I'm from down there, and in high school, that's where it started. Sprinting, guys would be over there, and I wasn't a good 100 guy, Calvin. I was a 200 guy. I didn't know how to come out the blocks. To be honest with you, I came out the blocks gap-legged, and I could never correct that. Right? I could never correct it. Even when I was in college, I couldn't correct it. And so, but if I get out now, I'm gonna give you a good little run. Now, if I get out, but I gotta get out for the 100. And so, man, they'll be talking smack, man. They beat me in the 100. I said, all right, I'm going to get y'all when y'all come back on the other side of the track in a couple of minutes, right? In the 220, right? So when I get over there, I'll be saying, yeah, okay, we're finna go now, right? We're finna go now.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, I can make a mistake or two over here and still get y'all, And so that's the thing I loved about it. Love competing. I even remember that NCAA. No, it wasn't that right. No, it was the next year. It was it was in Austin. It was the Texas Relays. And what I would look for, Calvin, this is what I would do, right? Now, I'm a football player. I'm on the track team just helping out, right? I'm on the relay team.
Yes.
It's like, I'm not going to qualify for the 100 meters. I'm not going to qualify for the 200. But I'm going to be a part of a relay team. We're going to get something done, right? So
yes,
we had a couple of receivers. One just passed, Orlando McDaniels from the LSU, rest in peace. He was a hurdler. And we played football against each other. And so he saw me in there. He just started talking smack, right? And boy, it was almost in a frenzy. And I was like, I'm gonna get this guy today. But I ran my better races. So what I would do, there was a bunch of football players like that running relays for schools, right? And so I would find them, and I was hoping we were in the same league so I can grind them up, right? And so the football players had their own little thing within the track meet, right? It was wild. It was wild. Another guy, Kevin Williams, USC. He's passed on since 2 years ago. Rest in peace. We used to go at it, man. He's a wide receiver. I was a corner, man. I'm not gonna let you out, right? So it was fun that way. So listen, what I want to do, I'm gonna call out some guys' names, right? And I want just tell them about these guys. First of all, my college teammate, Walter Mccoy.
Walter McCoy. Walter was a good guy. We did a lot of traveling in Europe and together and stuff. A great athlete. He was one that he did not just around the group talking, but not necessarily to when he got on the track. But when he got on the track, you knew that he was ready to run, and he was going to give you a very good race. He was very determined to do his best every time he stepped on the track. A good guy. Very
determined, man. I mean, on our track team, Calvin, he had the heart. I've never seen a guy run a 400 like him. The heart that he had, and we got ourselves in situations like that NCAA's in '79. We were the favorite to win the 4x4, and we broke the track record every day up until the finals. And Ron Nelson got hurt in the first leg, and by the time Walt got the baton, man, we were in dead last place. He probably had about a whole 150 yards to catch up with the next guy. And he took off, and we got him in a split, like a 20.2 split. And I said, man, he can't keep that. He's gonna just fall. He's just gonna fall off. Man, next thing you know, I think we ended up fourth in the race. You know, I never seen a guy with that kind of heart. All right, this next guy, Carl Lewis.
Well, Carl, he was, or is, was at the time. I guess he wanted to be the top dog. He wasn't a team player. I mean, I really didn't talk to him that much. He was one that, you know, only had talked to a few people and stuff. But I would say overall, it was not anyone that I would, you know, say to my kids, look up to as an athlete that
to follow
was for all athletes. He was only for himself.
Right. Okay. What about Stanley Floyd?
Stanley Floyd, he was a good guy to hang around and talk to. He was one that would brag and say what he's gonna do and who he's gonna beat. But it was all good and fun. But he was one, you know, he's gonna talk about what he's gonna do. So he was one that would help motivate you to beat him.
Okay. There you go. There you go. There you go. Okay. What about this guy? James Mallett.
James Mallett, good guy. When I went to Alabama, he the one taught me my first lesson. I decided, you know, I'm coming out of high school and I'm gonna do my thing because I'm real good.
Right.
And so we wasn't doing exactly the same workout. And one day I said, okay, I'm going to do the same workout as James Mallett. So I got out there and he was running some 200s that day. It was the only day that I ran 200s with him. And that was my first and last day. He almost killed me.
Well, hey, he was a monster. He was a monster now. He's a monster. Big, strong.
Monster. I said, you know, step back and get in your place. It was basically what that workout taught me, but it also motivated me. And in fact, I talked to James a couple of weeks ago when I saw him at the park. I was telling him how he motivated me, and I thanked him for what he did for me at Alabama because he showed me he was there and how he trained, and it encouraged me to do the same thing and work hard and gave me encouragement.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What about this guy? Yeah. When you were in college, he was still one of the fastest guys in the world running on the so-called amateur circuit. I guess you call it that back then. Harvey Glantz.
Oh, Harvey's a good guy. We traveled together and ran against each other. And Harvey, very down to earth, determined to go out and always did his best out there. And I think that he was one that, you know, respected all the runners that was out there, and just a good guy overall. Very good guy.
Now, what about this guy, Houston Mcteer?
No, I really didn't get to really talk to Houston or really know him. I saw him at a couple of meets that I remember, but I really didn't get to know him. But I just had heard all things about how well he gets out and how fast he was. So that's what I just know about him. And I've seen a few of his races, and yeah, he will get out and do.
Well, Calvin, I got to tell you, I'm a 10th grader in high school. I qualified for the state track meet in the sprint medley. I'm running the 200 leg of the sprint medley, 220 leg. And so I used to look at all the magazines with all the top sprinters in it, long jumpers, and I would just look, see the times and, remind myself how far behind I was, right? And so, but always looking at these guys. So I see Mcteer ran like a 9.3 100-yard dash, and Mike Roberson was running a 9.3 100-yard dash. The Johnson twins from Tampa were running 9.3 9.4. James Brown from Daytona Beach, Maryland was running 9.2 100-yard dash. He about 6'4", about 195. Beautiful looking guy, right? And so it was a lot of competition. And so we go to the track meet. It was like a 2-day meet. They had the two smaller teams, 1A and 2A, running on Friday night. And then on Saturday, the 3A and 4A would run. And so that Friday night, we're watching the 2A finals. And I got a friend from Pahokee, Florida, named Leroy Love, who was in the finals for the 100. And Mcteer, of course, was winning everything. And he was a favorite. And so my buddy would run 9.4 every time he go out there, right? He's the most consistent guy I know. Every time, clockwork. He's not gonna be a 9.6, he's not gonna be a 9.5. He's gonna run 9.4 every time. So we now that we're at the state track meet and they're running their class, we run the next day, but they're running, we're cheering each other on and rooting for each other. So we say, Leroy, when you get the finals now, when they blow the gun, you just gotta get out. If you get out, he's not stronger than you. You're gonna win. So we cheer him on. Man, they got that gun. We're gonna take him on. Get set. Pow! Mcteer, the race was halfway over. And that day, in that race, he broke the Royals record in the 100-yard dash. He ran that 9 flat in the 100-yard dash. I was like, oh my God. So now I'm scared now. I run the next day, I'm scared. I see Mike Roberson run.
Yeah.
I see, oh my God, I was messed up in the head. But it was good for me to see and good for me to be a part of that, right? These guys were great runners and great sprinters. And so, they made the game. And here's the thing about when I was in college running, not only were you and all those guys were sprinting, James Mallett, you had Curtis Dickey at Texas A&M, you had Foster over at UCLA, the hurdler, who also ran the 200. He's a good 200 man.
Right.
And then you talk about all the guys in college, and you were one of those guys, you and Stanley. But then you had those guys like we mentioned, like like Harvey Glance and Mcteer running outside of college and doing really well. And so there had to be 20 great sprinters in the country. Wouldn't you say that?
Yes. Well, just in the U.S. alone, it was like
in the U.S. alone, right? That's what I'm saying.
It was so many people that it was like, how can you really get to do anything? Because you got to be ready at all times because you can afford to slip up because everybody was pretty much on an even pace. And in the slip up, you could be last in the race.
Especially in the 100, right?
Yes, in the 100, yes.
Especially in the 100.
You had to be on top of your game every time you step up to the blocks.
Every time. So what for you? What was the key? Tell me this. It's too late for me now, but I want to know. What was the key with coming out the blocks, man? What was the key with the block?
Oh, you had the wrong one on the block because my start was very inconsistent, and I wasn't that great out of the blocks. My finish was the key for my race in the 100 and stuff. I tried different starts and everything, but I just tried to get a decent start. But I never was the first one of the blocks or anything like that. Wow. So if I got a decent start, I was good to go. But sometimes I really got out bad, but the determination and the speed itself helped pull me up to the front.
Man, you're the most consistent sprinter in the world in that time. I mean, you and Carl Lewis were the most consistent sprinters in the world at that time. You were always, right there in the top 2, not only in our country, but in the world. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. When you start talking about these other countries, man, Great Britain got some great sprinters, right? Back in our day, Russia had some great sprinters, didn't they?
Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, so you had to compete against, man, that's amazing, man, when you start thinking about the world. So Calvin, this is my question to you. All right, so you in high school, you're the fastest man in the state. Everybody know you fast. And you live in Mississippi. I know them high school football coaches was calling you to come play football. You never played football?
No. Nobody really knew about. I'm, from Mississippi and the high school and stuff. A lot of people didn't know about me. I only got the notoriety after high school when I went to some summer meets. Right after my senior year, it's when a lot of schools from elsewhere started hearing about me, because I was and like I signed, I think like in July, to go to Alabama, because
so you're really late.
Like I say, a lot of people hadn't heard about me and all of that, so there were not, other than like Mississippi State, the Mississippi schools and a few other schools, they are the only ones that had heard about me. So all
right, so you go to Alabama, you go to Alabama, and at the time, Bob Bryant was coaching the football team. Nobody tried to get you to play football in Alabama? Nobody?
No, I pretty much made it known that I didn't want to play.
You're not doing that, right?
Not going to play. That track was it. So I guess that was not one of the things that that they were going to ask me, because I wasn't going out there to play football.
Right, but I tell you that. Right. Well, the thing is, though, your legs were your business, and you don't want to be messing up your legs in football, because more than likely with the speed you had, well, they would put you at corner too, but more than likely they would have had you playing offense when guys trying to hit you all the time, right? I know Mike Roberson played. He played halfback in high school. But it's just a matter, man. If you're the real deal on that track and field, you need to leave it alone, because your legs is everything, man. Hey, one ACL tear and you're done.
Yeah, well, I did my maybe 2-day football deal in high school. That was another thing I quit. And I said I wasn't going back. So that was it. So, and then, they got 2 days out of me. And I was saying, nah, I'm going to stick with track.
That's not for me right there. That's not for me. That's amazing, man. Because I really believe sometimes, Calvin, that the sport that chooses you, it's a cultural thing, right? So where I come from, man, that's all kids do is play football, right? I mean, that's all we did. And then I was in school doing segregation, when we had an all-black high school. Man, let me tell you something, man. You had some guys who could really play football, On the last all-black high school in my hometown, we had 3 guys on that one team to be NFL ball players, right? You're talking a little high school team, right? And so, I mean, so that's the kind of talent they had. And this to be true. You have guys that are really good young, but they just don't have the vision to have a career, like you had, or a career like I had. They don't have their mind right. And so you have a lot of guys. Put it this way. I will tell you this. When I was in high school playing football, people would say he was good, but nobody would have said he's going to be a Sunday player, right? If they would have said somebody was going to be a Sunday player, it wouldn't have been me. It would have been about 4 or 5 other guys on the team, right? But Cal, one thing I can say, I had my mind right. I've been dreaming since I was 9 years old. I love telling this story. Me and my dad was watching a football game. We was watching the Chicago Bears. Gale Sayers was playing. And, Gale Sayers was a phenomenal football player. And so I'm watching him run the football. And, man, that day I said in my heart, that's what I want to do. And without somebody telling me to do this, my dad didn't tell me to do this, I go to my room, Calvin. I take a piece of paper, had a number 2 pencil, and I wrote down, I'm a pro football player. And I put it on my dresser drawer and I left it there. And next thing you know, I was getting my t-shirt, I get a pen, and I'll put number 40, Gail Sayers, on there. And I go out there and try to do everything I saw him do with the football until I got good at it, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I went to the all-black high school, Carver High in Delray, and I saw the quarterback play. And I didn't want to be a running back no more. I wanted to be a quarterback like that dude. And I changed the number 40, and I started putting number 10. And I put Penn, I put his name on the back of my t-shirt, and I go out and start throwing the football, right? And I became a quarterback. I did that until I went to college. And then, back in those days, they didn't give us the opportunity to play quarterback. So I played on the defensive side. It worked out, right? It worked out. Yeah. But I always say this, and you mentioned it, to make it and to have a career like you had. I mean, how many years did you run after college?
Let's see. I finished my last year of college was 83, and I retired in 96.
So you basically had a 13-year pro career.
Yes.
That's incredible, man, as a sprinter. That's incredible. That's just incredible. Now, let me ask you this. Did you have, during your career, did you have any major injuries? Do you have a lot of hamstring pulls? You have quad pulls? Anything like that?
Well, throughout my career, I had a number of injuries. I guess one of the biggest injury was just before the '84 Olympic trials. I went to the USA Track and Field Nationals, which was a couple weeks before the trials. I think I was pretty much in the best. I think I was in the best condition I had ever been in, even when I set the world record the year before. And I decided to run there just for a tune-up, and I pulled a hamstring, and that was took out the whole season pretty much. Yeah. But it was hurt, and I went to the trials, of course, and during the trials, each race that I ran, my leg was just killing me, But I was determined that I'm going to make this team, and I knew that I was running against the top 100 meters runners in the world.
Right here at home, right?
Determination, determination enabled me to get 4th place, which it was surprising, but I knew that, the determination got me there. I had to block out, the pain in my leg and everything. And I knew that I would have time to, get ready to get that healed for by the time that the games was.
Wow, man, that's amazing, man. Because a pulled hamstring ain't no joke. It's not it's not easy. And then the higher it goes up there to your butt, the worse it is, right?
Yeah.
And so
it took a lot of treatment and stuff, and determination. Even after I got back, was not, even when I went to the games itself, it was not 100%. And even at the games, no one knew but myself that my leg was in pain during each round at the Olympic Games. But I said, I can do it. And the turn helped because I didn't have to put as much pressure on that, on that leg. But
so you were in the first. You were in the first or third. You were in the first or third leg.
I ran the third leg.
Third leg, okay.
And basically, once I finished running the Olympics, my season was over. My leg, I could barely. At that point, I couldn't even really walk or jog or anything. So my season was over after the game. But nobody, I had to play it off and fake it and everything else, and everything was fine throughout each round.
You got that gold medal.
It was that goal in my mind, and I said I can do it and I can make it. Nothing else was going to stop me because I was already in pain, and I knew how that pain felt, and I could get through it. And I did.
Right. Well, see, that's an amazing thing. And somebody may be saying, they listen to what you just said. They say, well, why would you do that? People got to understand, right? The Olympics, there's nothing any higher than that. That's a Super Bowl of track and field, ladies and gentlemen. And not only making a team, but the opportunity to truly come back with a medal. See, some guys from other countries will make the Olympics, but they know they're not going to medal. They even know it before they go. But when you have that opportunity don't come by, especially in the United States when you have an Olympic trial, right? And you got to be on your game. You just got to be on your game. And you might not get that opportunity again. So you had to press through, and you got the goal, bro. Yeah. And you got a world record in the process.
Yeah, world record. Yes.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Man. That's crazy. And so I mean that's powerful, man. That is so powerful. I guess every sport, no matter what it is, it's a part of the game is injury. The injury factor is a part of the game, right? Yeah. You notice that way in football, you notice that way. And you get to the point where I can push through this, I can push through this, right? Right. Somebody came up with this phrase. Somebody came up with this phrase kind of a long time ago. No pain, no gain. I don't know who did, but it is so true. Because the hope of an athlete is to win that championship or to be in that event, to give yourself a chance. Because you never know if you're going to ever get there again.
And also in '87, I ran at the World Championship in pain in the 200 meters. So
and you won gold. You won gold.
I won gold, but I was in pain. Wow. It was like the groin area that was killing me. And I was so thankful that I got lane 7, an outside lane.
Okay.
That I didn't have to run the turn. It was that and that helped me because I ran more straight away than turn.
Than you did.
And it was a very close race. But and then the shocker is after the race was the trainers came to me and we don't believe you made it through that race because they already had looked at my leg and everything, and they just knew I wasn't going to do anything.
You won't make it, right?
But it was like I'm going to get through this. And again, I didn't. That was it ended my season. I didn't run no more that season because my leg was messed up.
Wow.
But sometimes you have to. It's mind will matter. You have to block certain things out of your mind, out of your head, and say, "Let me get this done, and I'll worry about that later."
Absolutely, man.
And a lot of people are not that strong to not complain, but to just go ahead and do what needs to be done. If you're going to do it, just do it.
Man. Hey, listen, man, that's powerful, man. Hey, so I hope y'all learning something out here and about what it takes to be an athlete, because it's not easy. It's never easy, right? And I would say this: I played 3 sports in high school: football, basketball, and I ran track. Football practice, I can take it or leave it. Basketball, Alvin, is the most fun. It's the easiest thing. I love practice. Track and field was the worst. You had to really work. It was no joke. I mean, I can remember being in high school, running the quarters, running the 330s, running the 200s, running the 110s behind the goalposts, and then coach after that got us running stadium stairs. So it is no joke, ladies and gentlemen. And to keep your legs from getting overworked, over tight, strong, keeping them flexible, right? And all that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, Calvin, people don't understand, you really got to eat right when you're running track. I mean, it's a whole thing.
Yes, you got to eat. Yeah,
you can't eat no fried chicken before you go out there and run that 200.
Everybody's different.
It depends, right?
Okay. One of the things about me was a lot of people, I can remember in Europe and everywhere, they would eat and they try, I can eat this before. I ate my meals. I would eat a few, day of the meeting. I had no problem.
Yeah, no
but
problem.
Some people can't. Everybody can't do that. But I got my meals in.
Right. I tell you, I went through so much as a pro because sometimes back in the old day, Calvin, in football, nowadays everything is down to a science. But in football, back when I played, what a pregame meal before a game, we'll have steak. Think about that now, steak. Before, 4 hours before we go play, steak, eggs, fried chicken, things like that. And you be out there about to die, and you're trying to figure out what's wrong. And then before I left the game, they start to take those things off the menu, and you'll have more things like some carbohydrates, like spaghetti, things like that. Things like that's better for you that'll get you through the game, right? But man, I'm just telling you, nobody knew some of that stuff, man, back then. And now I got a son who played in the NFL, and I mean they got it down to the science. I mean, it's so easy for them.
Oh yeah.
Now let's talk about sons. My son played 6 years in the NFL. There's another Calvin Smith Jr., who went to the University of Florida. I don't know how he got by Florida State and went to Gainesville. I don't know how come both of these guys just missed Tallahassee. I don't know what's up with that. Because Calvin Smith Jr. is a world-class sprinter. Tell me about your son.
He one of the most he ran the 400 meters, one of the most decorated track runners from at University of Florida. And he made the Olympic team. He did not win a medal or run there, but he made the team. But he was very determined. I trained him a number of years just after college and stuff. But he had a great career, went to Europe and ran in meets all over Europe for a good number of years as well.
Wow. Hey, that's amazing when you get your blood to go back and do the same thing you did. I know it was good for me when my son Bryce was playing football, just watching him play. And, I can remember when he was that little kid playing Pop Warner football for the first time, right? His uniform looked all funny. Now he's like 6'4", 220-pound watch. Where did that come from? Right? Didn't come from me, right?
He's a big fellow now, much bigger than I am.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing, isn't it, man? It's amazing. But he got the same thing you got, right? And so that's amazing, man. Well, listen, man, Calvin, man, it's been my pleasure to have you on and to talk with you, and you're just as pleasant as you seem, right? And so you're a gentleman, and I know track and field, man, they enjoy having you, and people still talk about you. And so thank you again, man, for being on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for tonight. We thank Calvin Smith for joining us tonight. And if you like the video, share it, comment, share it with your friends. This is Bobby Butler. I'm your host, 100 Yards of Football, our legend segment. And tonight we had the great Calvin Smith on with us tonight. Hey, man, thank you enough. Peace.